Good afternoon and welcome to Townsend Oval on this magnificent Newcastle Sunday afternoon. It's Morgan Campbell and Nick Hornby-Howell here with you for the preliminary final of the Newcastle Rugby League in 2017. The winner of this goes through to the grand final. The loser goes through to Mad Monday. And guess what? This is the fifth time these two teams have played in 2017. They would be absolutely sick of the sight of each other. It's Macquarie up against Central Newcastle. Macquarie, of course, into this game after being absolutely walloped last week, 35-8 against Western Suburbs over at Harker. They have to play about 15 times better than that today to be any chance of winning. Central, they're here because they managed to get the better of Lakes last week, 22 points to 10 over at St John Oval in Charlestown. I've got Nick Hornby-Howell with me, Northern correspondent for NBN News. Nick, good afternoon. Who do you like in this game and why?
Good afternoon. I like Central Newcastle in this game. I mean, I feel like at this stage of the season it's best to continue on with victory, and I feel like it's very difficult to come back from a 35-8 loss.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Now, if you go off the form, these two teams, as I say, have already played 4 times this year, 3 times in the regular season. Central won the first one, 18-14, and that was in round 6 in the washout game. Then they played in round 8, and Macquarie got them 22-16. And then they played in round 15. Macquarie got them 30-16 as Central come out onto the field to a fair bit of acclaim. They've got a few supporters in here this afternoon. They then played again, of course, in the qualifying final in the first week of the semis and got knocked off 20-8. So poor old Central are 1-3 against Macquarie this year. The form line's against them, but I think the crowd numbers are for them. There's plenty of Central supporters in here today. We look at the form. They've scored 402 points this year, Macquarie. They've only conceded 308. They've got the third best attack, but they've got the second best defence. Central, have only got the 5th best attack in this competition. They've got the 3rd best defence, and they're out on the field there at the moment. We might run through the teams. Central, as per program, with Jake Mason, the Rookie of the Year in number 1, 2, Jared Knott, 3, Sean Metcalf, 4, Mitch Williams, 5, Cameron Anderson, 6, Steve Gordon, 7, Brad Murray, 8, Dan Metcalf, 9, Bryce Kennedy, 10, Matt Baker, 11, Ethan Cook, 12, Tom Madden, and 13, Dane Cordner, 14, Justin Worley, 15, Luke Harrigan, 16, Brett Jarrett, and 17, Matt Kellner. And Nick, I might get you to go through the Macquarie side.
There's a couple of changes here for Macquarie this afternoon. We've got Mitch Manson at fullback, Matt Hay and Ryan Pywell on the wings, Nathan Cantor at one centre with Matt Simon coming in for Royce Jeffrey. We've got Scott Briggs at 5'8", partnered by Andrew Sumner at halfback. Daniel Abraham locks the scrum with Jordan Noble and Simon Allen, the second rowers. The props are Adam Grew and Matt Jeffrey. Chris Hyde is the hooker and captain. Coming off the bench, we've got Randall Briggs, Ty Olkin, Bobby Tracy and Isaac Briggs.
Well, we've got one of the teams. We've got the referees. We've only got one thing missing, and that's the Macquarie side.
I reckon they're playing a bit of ducks and drakes.
Well, quite possibly. There's a bit of a hint of that. There's been a bit of that go on today. Earlier today, of course, we had reserve grade just finished. Western Suburbs got the chocolates there over Lakes, so they're into the grand final in first and reserves. In the under-19s, Cessnock 26 defeated Maitland 20 after leading 20-0. They very nearly got themselves run down. And in the ladies' league tag this morning, Central 12 knocked over Wests 6. So we've got a fair bit of representation on grand final day already. We've got Wests in at least 2, and we've got Lakes in at least 1. And we could have Central in 2 after today. They haven't won a premiership since 1949. It has been a bit of a drought, and there are some fairly senior Central supporters here today who, despite going to Central games for 50 years, have never seen them win the premiership. So this is a big day as we see the Macquarie supporters making plenty of racket as their side comes out onto the field, led out by Chris Hyde. They, of course, featured in the grand final in 2015 under Barry Moore, then again in 2016 under Adam Bettrich. And Bettrich is 1 game away from getting there again. Unfortunately, 2 grand finals, 2 defeats. So all's in readiness. It is, as I say, a magnificent afternoon. Sun beaming down, there's not a cloud about. The referee this afternoon is Tom Aylett. The touch judges Greg Digby and Greg Ryan. Winner through to the grand final next Saturday over at Hunter Stadium. It all kicks off at about 10:50 in the morning over there. Ladies League tag, under-19s, open grade and first grade. Western Suburbs versus someone at this stage.
So you know how some people might say that you've got to lose 1 grand final to win 1. What do they say about losing 2?
I think you lose 2, you lose your mind. Certainly if you lose 3, It looks like we're going to have a moment of silence here at the ground just before kick-off. So we'll just pause as we take this minute's silence.
The Ward was stalwart and legend are often mentioned around football and sporting circles, but really it's a great mention for a more deserving person than John. His decades of service to this mob have made it exactly what it is today, a proud tribute to him. I'd like you to join us now in a bit of silence in memory of a truly great man. Thank you very much.
This competition, like so many others, doesn't happen without the volunteers, and South there recognising just one of the many. It's been a very... This competition this year has gone perfectly to script so far. 5th place was the first team to go out. That was South, of course, back in the first week of the semis. Then 4th place went out, with Lakes going out in the second week. And today we could see 3rd place disappear down the spout, but we will see. Brad Murray's about to line this ball up onto the tee. It'll be Central in the blue and white, running from right to left on your tablet, phone, smart TV, computer, whatever it might be. Macquarie in the green and gold. All's in readiness. Preliminary final, Newcastle Rugby League for 2017. And we are away. And Brad Murray launching the ball deep into the Macquarie half of the field. And it's taken over there by Scott Briggs. And he's going to send one of his forwards straight into the action here for the 5th meeting between these two sides. I wouldn't have thought, Nick Hornby-Howell, that the set plays would be a big priority today. I'd reckon both teams have got them pretty well worked out.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to think that both coaches have done their homework, and both of these coaches have had quite a bit of success in this competition, so you'd think that they'd know what's going on.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mentioned Adam Bettridge, who's made 2 grand finals in a row. Who's made a grand final already with this Macquarie side, and of course made one as assistant to Barry Moore in 2015. Craig Miller coached Western Suburbs to 3 on the trot. So there's no shortage of experience as Briggs is going to launch this downfield, this first kick. And it's fumbled over there by Jake Mason. Well, the rookie of the year. He's had a bit of a fumble. And Macquarie are going to get good field position early on here.
It's a good sign to see all the Macquarie players coming in and congratulating each other, and hopefully that means that they're ready to go on the attack.
I was over the back there while they were warming up. They seemed very keyed up. Adam Bettridge was right into them. There was a lot of clapping and whooping and telling them, keep the chat, plenty of energy. They didn't really get it done last week against West. They were fairly poor. The energy was down, and they're looking for a response today. So it'll be really interesting to see this first 10 minutes. I reckon they'll go for the ambush, as here's Hyde from dummy half finding Sumner, and he finds that's Simon over there in the number 4 for Royce Jeffrey today. And he's dumped on the turf there by Metcalf. It's a good battle out there. This is Noble. And that's the 20 they're approaching. You can see on your screen. Sumner dummying, millions of dummies. Then he finally finds Abraham. And he's fumbled that Abraham, and they'll say that's a knock on. No, they won't. I'm wrong. Aylett says penalty. I think he had a word from the touchy there. He looked like he was just going to blow it up. But a bit of luck early for Macquarie. No thoughts of taking the 2. Here's Allen. And he's dumped. Central need to start well. Briggs. Sumner. They're up quickly on him and they didn't get him. Here's the grubber from Sumner. It's off legs. They'll get this back, Macquarie, or will they? It's taken there by Central, and all of a sudden they're away down the right. Here's the run. It's turned inside. I think it's knocked down. They'll get this back. Cameron Anderson streaked away down the right touchline. But from a position of utmost danger, they're going to end up with a scrum on halfway. That's not a bad result.
That was a fantastic chase from the Macquarie player there. I didn't quite catch who that was, but...
Let's have a look on the replay. It was off the leg. And picked up there by Cameron Anderson. He looked away for all money, and Manson it was who got him by the
Just got
jumper
enough
and
of him.
dragged him to ground. Did very well indeed. And the prop forward there, Adam Grew coming across. Big chase.
Yeah, the grubber's a risky play, isn't it?
It is indeed. Well, that close to the line it is, the way it popped up there. You could see what was on. They rushed up. What did he say there? Pretend to have scrums. Is that what Tom Aylett just said?
Oh, well.
I suppose that's it's unusually honest. So away goes Central. This is not. And here's the lock forward coming forward. This is Dane Cordner. And a penalty. So 1-1 in the count early on. And Tom Aylett, as he did, I must say, as he did a couple of weeks ago in the match between Lakes and Central, blowing the whistle early, trying to set the pace, trying to lay the expectations out. Kennedy's at dummy half. And this is Metcalf. And that's not. And he's chopped to the ground. Metcalf again. Central well positioned here. They're flat to the right. They're quite deep to the left. And it's going to go to Murray. He's been in these preliminary finals a few times and finds the big front rower, Matt Baker. They've got numbers either side and options either side. They go to Murray. That's not a bad option. It's flat and high over there to Colner. And this is last tackle. They haven't thrown too much at them here. It'll be Murray again for the kick. He's going to hang it up over to that wing. It's in the sun. It's in the hands. It's knocked down. Macquarie will get this back. Or will they? Hang on, it's been touched over there, so it's a Central ball. Well, I thought there was a knock on in there from Central, but on they go. This is Metcalf trying to barge at them from close. I've seen that a few times before.
He's almost like having an extra forward in your side, isn't he?
Certainly is. Did it for Cessnock, now doing it for Central. This is Baker. Keen for work early on. Slow play the ball. Kennedy. Murray. Metcalf will get this eventually. And off the standing start, it's not really his game. Slow again. Here's Murray. He's got a few numbers. He hits the 12. That's Madden. And he's not far away, but still, they're not asking too many questions. And it's last again. Macquarie dealing with this pretty comfortably. The kick is good. Or at least it would have been. It's over the dead ball line, and Macquarie can come out to the 20 with another restart. I've got to say, Nick, they dealt with that fairly comfortably. They didn't look too troubled at all.
Well, I wonder if, exactly like you said, they just happen to know Central's set plays off by heart. There's been 4 meetings already between them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Although I must say, those plays didn't have too much complexity. Here's Cantor. So both sides have had a look at the try line. Neither of them able to cross it just yet. A bit of rubbish in the grandstand already, a bit of chat. We like that. Just sets the tone. There's plenty here today, I must say. The crowd's really built up, and here's another penalty. And you can hear what Tom Aylett said there, walking into the play of the ball.
Yeah, Tom Aylett's not copying anything this afternoon.
No, wants a good clean game. If this is anything to go by, I'd expect him to get the gig on grand final day. So putting a marker down here. And Greg Ryan's flags in the air. Macquarie to attack. From just short of the 30. Abraham. And Grew. It's Briggs. Here's Simon, and he got the fumbles there, and there's a chance here for Central to counter. It's with Anderson over on the right, and he's chopped. So it's not quite coming together for Macquarie.
Even just inside the opening 10 minutes, the Central blokes out wide are really rushing up quickly.
Yeah, you can see it becoming a problem later in the game. They've got away with it so far, but it's a dangerous tactic. So just short of halfway. And that's Cordner. Back into Macquarie's half. It's very choppy in the middle of the park there. Here's Murray. That's a run there from Madden. And they've got one tackle left after this. They go to Murray again, who's doing all the running of the play. He just digs this in behind to Simon, who's in 4 but playing fullback. And he just watches this over the touchline. And so Macquarie can bring it out from their own end again. It's a very, what would you call it? A settled first 10 minutes we're seeing here.
Well, I suppose both teams are just wanting to make sure that they keep the errors down, feel their way into the game, and see how they go.
That seems to be the plan. Macquarie making a few mistakes, Central not making many at all, but just not doing a huge amount with the ball at the minute.
Yeah, you'd have to say that Macquarie have looked more likely so far.
I do fear for those central outside backs if they get it together out there. As here's Hyde. And he'll go out there to the man in number 1, playing out on the sting. That's Mitch Manson. We've got Matt Simon playing fullback here for Macquarie. And he's a very dangerous property late in games when people get tired. So up they come with Grew. Macquarie have done a bit of this so far. Plenty of chat from the referee as well, as you can hear. Here's Briggs looking for the kick. That's a good carry back. So Central with the field position here. And there's a bit of afters in the play the ball.
Numbers in the tackle.
Numbers in the tackle, quite right. They drive him back, so they're back where they started on second tackle. And this is Baker. He's been very keen for work early on here. It's about his 4th or 5th hit up inside the first 10 minutes. Kennedy. And they're into Macquarie's half again. Here's Metcalf, world's biggest dummy half. Not to any great effect. They bring him down.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever much doubt as to what he was planning.
You didn't see a little snipe down the blind side as the ball goes into the air. And this is Simon underneath this. It's an awkward looking thing, but he takes it well. And he's got Pywell for support. But they deal with him strongly. Central, very neat and tidy so far. Just grinding away. Cantor. He called him out. He'll have to blow a penalty. You heard it here on our ref's microphone there from Tom Aylett. He said 17, get out of the way. And 17 got involved in the tackle.
Well, I feel it was unnecessary for him to get involved in that tackle. I felt like the bloke was going down anyway.
I would have to agree with you there. Anyway, I don't think Coach Barney Miller will be too pleased with that from Matt Colner. So Cantor feeds Allen. And we're going to come back and do that again, I think. What's happened here?
Calm down, all right? Thanks, Mark.
Well, that was a bit of on-field counselling there from referee Aylett. He said, just calm down.
Obviously, he's feeling Colner's a bit excited.
Well, it's a preliminary final. These things happen. He's up out of the line. 2 penalties on the trot.
But you can't be upsetting the referee.
No.
It's traditionally not a good move.
Not generally. A bit of psychological help there from Aylett, just saying, listen, I know you're nervous, but just a helping hand from your referee.
I wonder if he gets paid extra for that.
It's thoroughly modern. Yeah, well, I wonder. Here's Hyde, out of dummy half. And Abraham. And Jeffrey plays the ball. Hyde will snipe again. This time he finds Noble, in fact.
Short three. Now stand up, let it go, Sean. Roll to the side, don't get involved. Good.
In fact, it was Grew, and this is Hyde.
Tackle 4.
And he's not too far away. They're set up all the way to the right here. Briggs is screaming for the ball. He finally gets it. Fizzes it out there to Cantor. It's still Cantor. Gets a beautiful Gidley flick. Out there to Ryan Pywell. And that's a great Novocastrian tradition. The flick pass out the back to the unmarked winger. And Macquarie have the lead here. It's 4-0.
That was absolutely fantastic rugby league. But it was interesting how the Central's right edge seems to be flying up and in. But the left centre and the left winger have stayed out there.
Must have had separate training this week. Here's the play on replay. You see Briggs, he had plenty of options here, lots of people in motion. And when Cantor got it, they were flat. He took on one, the winger came in. I don't know if the winger needed to come in, but Pywell could have made a cup of tea and had a couple of biscuits and then wandered over the line.
Yeah, as you sort of alluded to just before, it's sort of reminded you a bit of Matt Gidley and Tamana Tahu there, especially on the right edge.
Exactly right. Bring a tear to the eye.
Oh, nostalgia.
Indeed. Here's Briggs lining up this kick. That's Ryan Pywell, you can see on the screen there. Looking pretty pleased with himself with his first try of the afternoon. In the 13th minute. here on Bar TV. Winner to the grand final, where Wests are waiting.
The breeze seems to have picked up a little bit in the last few minutes.
Yes, I've got the duck jacket on up here in the grandstand. It's been a little bit chilly all day. Let's see what Briggs can make of this.
Are you backing him in?
No.
He says after he's kicked it.
Yep. Well, he made very good contact with the post pad, but I don't think that's what he was looking for. It's 4-0 here. Macquarie have the lead.
Would have been a decent soccer free kick, to be honest.
Yeah, it would have been very nice. Just over the wall. Someone could have got a glancing header on it. That's unfortunately not the game we're playing here this afternoon. As a rugby league conversion, it was fairly pig ordinary. So for the second time this afternoon, Brad Murray making use of the tee. And away we go again. And I think your call of a few minutes ago, Nicholas, that Macquarie's attack looked more dangerous, was pretty well borne out by that. The first time they held onto the ball for a full set, they scored in the corner. And this is Pywell, the try scorer, clearly encouraged. Hyde away. And Sumner. And Abraham.
So even then it looked like they had a little bit of an overlap going on.
Yeah, well, you do wonder if that's a deliberate tactic to get up in Sumner's face there. But it's a real gamble. So they're wrestling and scrapping here. This is Hyde. He's got Jeffrey to his right. He opts for the boot instead. And Worley there in 14's going back for this. Ooh, he nearly made an awful meal of that. Ended up doing okay. Now he's driven by the defence. They look a bit keen today, Macquarie. They look a bit keener than they did last week. And they'd be very encouraging signs for Coach Bettridge.
That was pretty much the perfect set to follow up scoring points, isn't it?
Absolutely right. Get to the kick, work it downfield. There you go, Central. 5 out, do your best. Controlling the game. And when Macquarie are playing well, that's what they do. That's the 30 you can see. Kennedy finds Murray, and he said we've had enough of this, and that's a good kick. Finding the grass, turning them around. I know it's chilly up here in the grandstand. I think it's fairly warm out there on the field. And back they come with Hay, but he's turned it over. And now Central are going to try and make hay. This is Murray. He gets it away. It's Colner who's dragged down 10 out. They've got a full set here, and they're still not back, Macquarie. It's knocked down. They'll play on. It's 0 again. It's Williams who's taken on that left-hand side. Big chance here for Macquarie. And this is Cordner. Brother Boyd, if you're watching, all the best. Out they come to this right-hand side. And it's fizzed into touch, or at least nearly into touch. It's going to be taken over there by Anderson. It looked like a fairly ordinary pass.
I think he just needed to hit his centre there, and they had a 2-on-1.
Yeah, I think through the numbers was on. This is Madden. They've still got plenty of tackles. That's only third, as you can hear. Now Murray. He's got options either way. He goes for the kick. It's not a bad one either. Mason's made a bit of a meal of it, and he's knocked it on, in fact, according to referee Aylett. So Mason having a bit of a difficult first 20 minutes with his hands. And Macquarie holding on to their lead.
Central have looked like they haven't played together before at this point. They're looking very disjointed in attack.
Yeah, very jumbled and quite slow, as we see on the replay. The idea was okay there from Murray, possibly needed to be a bit deeper. I think even if Mason catches that, Pywell would have
him into touch.
Well, would have tried to put him in the barbecue tent, yeah.
I suppose there's worse places to be, isn't there?
You're absolutely right. It's a beautiful place here at Townsend because the barbecue tent's strategically positioned in front of the grandstand, so the smell wafts up beautifully.
Do you think they've thought about that?
I think it's a very, very shrewd marketing technique as Grew comes forward for Macquarie. And Hyde working up the middle. We didn't see him running it much against West, which probably tells you they didn't have much of the play in the ruck. They've got it a bit better today, and Worley's got to trek back. And he'll bob and weave, but the chasers are up there quickly. Sumner was there. So was Manson. Now this is Anderson, who's had a few runs already today. His run meter is vastly inflated by that pick up off the kick a few minutes ago. Central coming forward. This is Williams. They'll give it there. To Mason. They'll come down this short side. That's out the back. And it's Baker hitting it up again. He's a fair way from his natural habitat. 2 in from the wing, though, it must be said, as a front rower. Williams gets it back to Murray. Last tackle.
That's just
into
straight
the
up.
Yeah, pretty much. I wonder if they might be offside over there. It's not going to matter because Manson's got it. And he's away here, Manson. Up the middle. A good little run there from the Macquarie winger. And 16's on the field. That's Bobby Tracy. Good carry it is too. Fresh legs in the 18th minute here for Macquarie. Hide away to Grew. Well positioned for an attack here. I wonder if they'll try that left edge. They may. Here's Sumner. He'll go inside again. That's Allen. But Briggs is keen. He turned up on the left-hand side of the ruck. Here's Briggs. Cuts it out to Sumner. Sumner cuts it out even further. This is Hay down the wing. That's Hay in the corner for Macquarie. Well, we said it, Nicholas. They've been rushing up. They've looked a bit sketchy in the defence over on that fringe. And they've paid for it. And both the wingers have got to meet Pye early here. It's 8-0 with a kick to come.
Well, they could have nearly had 2 earlier tries down that same edge, but this time the passes all found the mark, and I think that's just the end result of near 20 minutes of work down that edge.
I think that's absolutely right. So Matt Hay got the fumbles up the other end. We'll have a look on the replay. You could see Briggs there. He saw that it was on, rushed around and called it from Chris Hyde fairly late in the day there. And then a lovely ball from Sumner. And you see where the winger was there. He was a long way in.
He's a powerful, stocky fellow, isn't he?
He is. Well, it's always a sign someone's a little bit bulky when they're in the 18 playing on the wing.
Oh, there needs to be more of it, to be fair.
Yeah. But it all served him well there.
Just good strength to push up his man.
So, first quarter of the game ticks away. And Macquarie have had the better of it. Central need to find a little bit more here. And Scott Briggs needs to find a little bit more too after that stinking first attempt at goal kick. Let's see what he's got.
I mean, if he puts in another one like that, is he getting the hook from the goal kicking duties?
Look, there's every chance. There's every chance. Daniel Abraham kicked a bit of
those the days.
Back in his NRL days, maybe he'll get the job. I don't know. Let's not write him off yet. He's got it for a reason, Scott Briggs. Let's see. He's about a bee's leg in from touch. That doesn't look too bad, you know. Oh, look out! Well, that's one of the great comebacks of all time. Hit the post pad with the first one and just drained the other one from the other side. Macquarie 10, Central 0. We wrote him off too quickly.
Oh, it's reminiscent of one of Winx's recent wins.
Indeed. Written off. Storms back.
Class is permanent.
So Murray kicks off again. I'd say he'd be sick of this at this early stage. Hyde takes it and back comes Grew and gets through.
Popped a bit of a swinging arm there too.
Yeah, a bit of feeling. It's not a bad thing. This is Tracy onto the field in 16. Now, don't play it. And we've seen a bit of this. This is a real thing in rugby league now. If you're 1 centimetre off the mark, I'll send you back to play it again. Used to be a penalty, of course.
I feel like he absolutely was on the mark.
Well, I think the difference is fairly negligible. Here's Allen, and they're going to shift this early here. There was Noble, and he ended up nearly getting his head shifted. Now here's Sumner, and Sumner's on a bit of a run here, over halfway. They're keen on that left edge of Macquarie. Why wouldn't they be? Now there's going to be drama here, because we'll have a listen to Tom Aylett.
So he's saying that one of the Central players has knocked down Jordan Noble's offload.
Yep.
And Macquarie did not get any advantage from Andrew Sumner's run.
Yep.
And he's had it one-on-one strips, so they're going back to the knockdown.
Listen to me. There's no advantage. Exactly why. There's no 10 metres, Brad.
Now,
packing in.
What bothers me about that? Wasn't the knockdown 10 metres further up the field?
Well, and I also feel like Sumner's actually made a line break.
Yeah, that's a
Which
tough
is
one.
therefore taking advantage, is it not?
I would have thought so. He beat about 3 or 4 tackles. I mean, how much further does he have to run before he's seen to have taken advantage? Anyway, read about it in the paper tomorrow. Here's Briggs. And that's Matt Hay. And he's up a little bit slowly, Matt Hay. I think he's got a bit of the cricket pitch on him there. Now Abraham. And they're set very deep to the left again. I wonder if they might go early here. They're going to go to Grew this time. Matt Hay, the Macquarie winger, is all the way, almost back on his own 40-metre line, about 25 yards behind the play. As a go here to Allen. I think the shift's on again, Nicholas. Here's Simon. Simon goes himself through one of the biggest dummies you'll ever see. And finally goes to ground. Sumner away to Allen, who's promoting it a little bit. Not this time. He's promoted into the deck. Big puff of dust. Left again. Sumner. Stepping Sumner.
They obviously see something they like out on that edge.
Absolutely. They're going there every opportunity. Someone tell them the TV cameras are on this side. Well, 16 minutes left in the first half here. Macquarie 10, Central 0. Central needing to lift. And that's a good charge to get them going. That's Dan Metcalf onto the field. In the very faded number 8. I wonder if someone used too much bleach during the washing process or something.
Well, they've left it on the clothesline too long.
Yeah, quite possibly. Or it was some sort of ironing mishap. I don't know. On they come. And that's Cordner, I think, in 13 it is. Almost at the half. They've had some good field position, Central, just haven't done much with it. Downfield it goes. And Simon has had plenty of work to do. And comes back at them hard. And he's chopped. Now we've got the number 2, Jared Knott, who's playing over on that side at the moment, which is curious. And we've got the number 1, Jake Mason, playing on this wing. So a bit of a jumbled lineup for Central from what was advertised in the program. And now there's an appeal for a high shot from the grandstand.
I'm actually wondering if Sean Metcalf has started in the forwards.
Yeah, it looks that way. Looks like he might be playing second row. He's a couple in, certainly. He's inside the 5'8" as well. Now here's Noble. Right on the cricket pitch. It's looking pretty dry out there. He'd get some turn on that day for, I'd reckon. Here's Briggs to the sky. And it's taken neatly there by Worley, who steps and goes, and he might have seen something here, Worley. It's taken down. And they'll bring it back. That is that number 2 I was talking about, Jared Knott. And he's wrestled and wrestled out there. Metcalf. Central are wrestling all right. And that's good meters after the contact. Couple of tackles left. Murray. Finding Knott. So Murray's at dummy half. And he won't get the kicking duties. It's jammed down. I think this will be taken on the full by Simon. It will. And that's not especially advisable, especially late in a half. Back he comes. Now it's Pywell. What are your thoughts on this here? 13 minutes to go in the first half. It seems like a fairly even wrestle, Nick.
Yeah, very much so. But Central just quite haven't found their rhythm in attack, and I think that's just been the difference between the two teams. Macquarie have been able to string a few set plays together and have found their mark out wide.
I think that's about right. Couldn't have put it much better myself. Here's Noble. And he's dumped or driven with a hint of dump. And it's over to Briggs. And this is Sumner. And Sumner's thrown about 4 dummies there and then throw. Oh, the back out the back was beautiful for Sumner to kick again. Here he comes. It's Worley who gets there. And not a moment too soon. There was a flick pass out the back from Randall Briggs that'll make the highlights one way or the other. But out of all of it, Central end up with the ball. Tell you what, there is a really good crowd in here today. I'm just looking through this grandstand. There's not much space, and plenty down on the fence as well. So people coming out to see their team here. Central trying to make their first grand final since Jesus was in short pants. Macquarie trying to make their third in a row and break the bad winning run, or the bad losing run.
What position do you reckon Jesus would have played?
Second row. Here's Kennedy. Into dummy half, out to Murray. He's found the grass again, and then he's been belted there by Pywell. You can hear someone in the grandstand not keen on it. Simon's going to bring it back. I don't think Aylett's going to blow this up as Simon keeps going. Last 11 minutes of this half, up against tired legs. He'll come into the game. There's not much sympathy for Brad Murray up here in the stand.
Sounds like there's a bit of blowing up going on.
So Abraham. They could really sink the boot in here with another one before half time and really get Brad Murray scratching his head. Here's Craig Miller as here's Noble. Hyde. Sumner. Inside ball from Hyde. Here was Simon looking for lazy defenders. All he found was Kennedy. It wasn't lazy at all. Here's Briggs chipping. It's a little bit ugly because it's spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's going to go over the dead ball line. Well, that looked fairly innocuous, but got a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Central blokes could quite anticipate the bounce there. They looked a little bit uncomfortable.
It did. The rugby league ball. It's a cruel mistress. Let's have a look. See, it looks all right there, and then whoopsie-doozy. Fairly narrow in goals here too. If you overrun one, you're always a chance of ending up on the velodrome, which is not a fate anybody wants.
No, it's I can tell you from personal experience, it's quite uncomfortable.
That's why we've got you in, Townsend Oval expert. Here's Briggs. And he finds another Briggs. That's Isaac. So Isaac in the 17. And Randall in the top knot. And Scott in the 6. Just for viewers trying to know their Briggses. They're set out to this left-hand side again, but they go to the right. Here's Sumner. Inside ball. It's not a bad one. And there's Tracy. Dragged down a yard out.
He's looked quality since he's come on.
Hasn't he? He's running good lines. Hyde saw something. Goes to Cantor. He won't get the Gidley flick this time, but he might not need it. Nathan Cantor, he's got that down out there. Well, Nathan Cantor.
There was absolutely nothing on there.
That was like gladiators. He was standing there fighting with them, and then just fell over the line.
Oh.
Well, that's extraordinary. I got to tell you, when he caught the ball there and stepped back inside, I had him at 50-1 to score. Let's have a look at the replay. He goes past one with a shove, past another one. They've got him held up there, and he makes his way to the ground.
That's just the dangers of jumper grabbing when you're 5 metres out from the line.
Pretty much. Someone needed to come in there and rock him, and they just couldn't do it. Cantor wanted it more. And I got to tell you,
that try will hurt.
That try will hurt, but it also shows how much more interested and involved Macquarie are this week compared to last, because that's exactly the sort of efforts they were lacking. So, three-time premiership coach Miller has a job to do here, because it's 14-0, and if Briggs maintains his recent form, it could be 16. This is his bogey side, though.
Yeah, what do you think he's learned from his last kick on this side?
Kick it over the posts, not at the bottom of the post. That seems to be the lesson.
I mean, you'd like to think so.
That's what I've taken out of it, yeah.
The kick goes over the crossbar.
Over, good. Low, not good. Let's see. Briggs. No. It's away to the right. Well, the height was okay, but the direction not quite. You're absolutely right, though. It is a little bit breezy down there, so hard to calibrate. But the goal kicking's probably saved Central here. They're a bit closer than they probably deserve to be.
Oh, absolutely. It's they've just got to make their tackles and hang on to the football, I think. That's just what they've been lacking thus far, to state the obvious.
Sharp analysis here on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell and Nick Horby-Howe with you, with 7 minutes left and then another 40 after that. And it'll be a Briggs off the back fence here. Macquarie pretty light on their feet so far today. And they just keep lining up big forwards. This is Tracy. They've got a good rotation. They've got the 10, the 8 and the 13 all on the bench at the moment. So the full replacement middle is out there. Now Briggs. Sumner. And another Briggs. And now here's Hay. And if he caught that, he would have been away Hay. Instead, it's a knock on. Hang on, he might say touch. Macquarie might get this back. I'm starting to...
Central and caught it by a bloke in front. Straight in. No. Yeah?
He bounced it.
Yeah.
He didn't post it before forward.
Yeah, but someone else caught it. Someone else. No, it doesn't matter. It is. We're packing the scrum.
Well, there you have it. A little crash course in rugby league there from Tom Aylett. He's saying that it was knocked on or knocked down by Central and then caught by someone else. So Macquarie, after all that, are going to get the ball back. But there were a fair few people wanting to argue the toss. As Briggs has it, now Simon. There's been a couple of those where Macquarie have duffed the play and ended up with the ball.
Yeah, well,
and now they're going to end up with it again because that's a penalty. Oh, and the ball at the head. The forced falcon on Brad Murray.
We'll take a falcon of any description, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It was a bit of a plastic falcon, but I don't mind it. It sets the tone.
Now we just need a Nathan Brown, Lance Thompson falcon.
Well, that is the gold standard. 35 metres out they're going to be here, Macquarie. And if they were sinking the boot a moment ago, although I don't know, they'd be sinking the other boot now and breaking a few ribs if they scored here. 14-0 with 5 to go. Hyde. And Noble. They'll come across here to Briggs. And he'll look for Sumner. And Sumner will look for Cantor, who caught it very awkwardly and did quite well. And they're only 15 metres away. That's the 10 you can see just in front of them there. They're right in the danger zone. They haven't missed out too many times when they've got this far. Briggs. And he'll put them in the shadow of the posts. He's thinking about that offload, thinks better of it. Sumner's on the left. Briggs is coming around that way. It goes to Sumner. Oh dear, that didn't quite go to plan, or did it? Well, it looked like it was Warren Gillespie there for a minute. In the end, it's taken by Randall Briggs. Hyde will jab it on the boot. Here they come. Here comes Simon Allen. Ooh. And it's knocked on and over the dead ball line. Well, that was a little bit closer than Central might have liked.
He's another half metre on the dead ball line there. Yep. He's probably...
Oh, I tell you what, it was awfully close. You're not wrong. Simon Allen, the man he threw into that dive, he nearly ended up on the bike track, but would have been worth it, I think, for 18-0 kick to come. As it is, Central come away. They haven't seen much territory in the last few minutes, or much ball. I'd say there'll be some chance of banging this into touch. Kennedy. Short ball is a good ball. They're through here, Central. They've got numbers both ways. The pass was a bit early to Williams, and that's why he was dragged down by Pywell, but they've got tackles in hand. Worley's at dummy half. He might like this himself, Worley. He does. He's not going to get there. Big chance here for Central. Big moment in the game. And we got a stoppage. And all the momentum grinds to a halt. And there are some grumbles in the grandstand. And not a huge amount of sympathy for the injured player. Here's the replay. Beautiful ball. He just strode through there. Williams loomed up, and I just don't think... I don't know about you, Nick. I just think he passed it a little bit early.
Yeah, he didn't quite commit the fullback, Matt Simon, there.
Yeah, and Pywell was able to make the late decision and get across. So, could be a crucial little moment in this game.
He looks in a spot of bother, this bloke.
Doesn't he? It's Pywell, who made the desperate effort from marker then to make another tackle. He's up and hobbling. And I'd say this close to half-time, he'll stick with it. This was the replay.
Let him play it, boys.
It's not really obvious what happened to him other than he might have copped a kick on the way through. It was a really good effort. On they come.
Last Chris off the pill.
Last tackle. Big moment here. Murray. Oh, and Metcalf's got the fumbles. Well, that was a chance. That was a chance.
That right there is just the story of the first half, though, so far, isn't it?
Yep. It was on. They were ready to go. The bag was packed. The taxi didn't turn up. Here's Briggs. Oh, he's thrown the ball out the back. I don't think Bettridge would be too pleased with that. Here's Sumner. It's turned out all right, but dear oh dear, 3 minutes to go in the half. You'd reckon you might tuck it under the jumper.
Keep coming. Shoot it, Brad.
Hyde. Another Briggs.
Three, come on. Keep coming, three. Two down.
Macquarie in control here.
Play it on him, stand up. Good.
Hyde. Sumner. Briggs. Simon. They're chucking it around a bit here. Simon with a jink.
Three, Sean. Come on, Sean, make
He
it.
goes down.
Good. Good 10.
Hyde down the short side. Sumner again. He put Manson through.
He's down.
And he was dragged down by Anderson.
Hit the line. Good, thanks, Dave.
Now Briggs throws the big dummy and goes straight through Randall Briggs. He's got a man on the inside and it's Simon. Randall Briggs with a break from nothing. Matt Simon with a score under the posts. It's 18-0. It's about to be 20. And the 70-year wait for Central looks like it might be a year longer.
That was just way too easy, just bursting through the middle of the field, and then probably gives the central man a bit of a lesson in how to put the man away and draw the fullback.
Yeah, quite well. That's the difference, isn't it? As you see here on the replay, it was Randall Briggs. He threw a dummy. Gee, there wasn't much on there. And Metcalf, having fumbled one up the other end, then got it all wrong there. Went high, missed, and from there, you're absolutely right. Just put him away. Under the posts. So, 18-0 with a minute left, and how things can change. It could have been maybe 14-6. Instead, it's about to be 20-0.
Yeah, that hurts when you've got the opportunity to score, and then in the very next set, you concede points, and especially when, well, there's less than a minute to go now. I mean, they're probably just going to go straight back in the sheds, and I think Coach Craig Miller's going to need to weave some magic.
Either that or throw some drink bottles, one or the other. Here's Briggs. Trying to send this one onto the road, you'd reckon? It's there. So, 20-0 with 20 seconds left in this first half. It's all been Macquarie's way. They've certainly made the best. Tom Aylett's trying to stop them from just running straight into the dressing sheds, and he's having absolutely no luck. If you've, we're on the near shot here at the moment, but Tom Aylett said, "Boys, stay on the field, stay on the field," and the Central boys said, "Yeah, nuts to you, Aylett," and ran straight off. So, and finally, we're down to 0 seconds, and that's half time here on Bar TV in the Newcastle Rugby League preliminary final. It's Macquarie 20, Central 0. Nick, your thoughts on the first half?
No, Macquarie have just looked very, very polished. I mean, apart from that opening 10 minutes, just everything they've tried and has stuck. And, yeah, they've just taken advantage of the opportunities, and Central just haven't had anything in response.
I think that's pretty much it. We'll be back here in a few minutes with the second half. Barney Miller's got a job to do. Central have got a job to do. We'll find out if they can do it in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to Townsend Oval. Second half about to kick off here between Central and Macquarie. The grand final qualifier, or the preliminary final. And you'd have to say it's been pretty much one-way traffic. There's been contraflow. Macquarie with a 20-0 lead and about to kick off. They've had the absolute best of it. They've had the best chances and they've taken them better than Central have. And you'd have to say, Nick, 20-0's about right so far, and Central have got a lot of work to do.
Ooh.
Indeed. Here's Metcalf with the first hit up in the second half. He'll be keen to get something happening in this second half because he had a few nasty moments towards the ends of the first. Got the dropsies up one end and then got the grabsies up the other. And it's Central rucking it away. Kennedy at dummy half. Gets it away there to the 14. That's Worley. Or in fact, it's Williams in the 4, my apologies. And now Murray sends this to the air. Doesn't get really a lot of depth on it. Hayes right there. They're up in his face. And he goes straight past them. Matt Hay. We mentioned it in the first half. He's in pretty good nick. And he is a very strong unit out on that wing. And busted a couple of tackles there. So Simon at dummy half. And Briggs threw the dummy to good effect in the first half. Throws the offload this time. This is this is Isaac Briggs. Now Simon with a skip and a jump. But they've got tackles in hand and good field position here. Briggs, 8's out. That's Metcalf. He still got involved. Ayler will be tempted. No, they throw the ball. He's summoned to Abraham. Abraham to Briggs. Still Briggs for Macquarie. And now out the back, they're throwing it about here. Briggs again. Now to another Briggs. It's an absolute Briggsathon. Here's Manson. Still Manson, and he's down within a couple of metres. They went 30 metres in one ruck there, and they were about a dozen passes. Briggs dummy half. Abraham. Now Scott Briggs calling them inside. They didn't come. Sumner out there to Cantor. Through the dummy when he had the winger run marked. It might not be a bad move because Cantor's close, and he's not quite there. This is last. Hyde. Briggs. Crossfield kick is straight to Matt Hay, who only has to pick it up and do a bit of a twist and get it down on the ground. He was absolutely unmarked over there. He had a postcode to himself. He gets it down and it's 24-0 inside the first couple of minutes of the second half.
It looks like Macquarie have been given a bit of a licence to thrill here early in the second half. They've thrown the ball around, getting the offload away. They've really looked good.
Absolutely right. The ball's been zinging from one side of the field to the other. Let's have a look on the replay. It's a really clever kick from Scott Briggs. He could see how far in they were. I'm not quite sure why they were in that far. But over there near the clover, Matt Hay with his second of the afternoon. It's a real outside backs kind of day here.
Well, his second try is a few tackle busts. I mean, he'd be right up there with the Supercoach points.
Absolutely right. He'd be having an absolute day out. I'd say with his build and the way he busts tackles, he would be a backs keeper, I'd reckon. Base stat beast, sort of Josh Mansell type.
Or he could be a
David Nofaluma.
He could be a cheeky vice captaincy loophole option.
Very much so. All things worth thinking about. Matt Harris, if you're watching this broadcast, real NRL Supercoach is a winner. Now, Scott Briggs. This is where he drained that Perler in the first half from touch. That was their 5th try, incidentally, Macquarie. But if this doesn't go over, they'll only be 4 converted tries clear. So this is a biggie. Touch judges with the sun in their eyes. Oh, I hope they saw that because that was a beauty. Scott Briggs from touch. 26-0. 4 minutes into the second half. And Macquarie, well, the difference between this week and last could not be more pronounced.
They've looked absolutely fantastic with ball in hand. I mean, I feel like there's not too many teams in the competition that'd be able to stop them on this sort of role.
Well, I was about to say, next week against West, I mean, if they're going to beat West, they probably need to get that, get something a little bit different happening, get the ball flying around a little bit, so it's not a bad tactic. Although it's a bit too early just yet to be planning for next week. But I'd say there'll be a few tentative people, a few people watching this at home with the Bar TV coverage open in one browser window and maybe a bus hire website or something like that open in the other. Eh? Maybe the Ticketmaster website open in the other browser. It's a wonderful thing about tab browsing, of course. As Macquarie have the ball.
Isn't the 21st century wonderful?
Isn't it? Here's Allen. Centre field. Briggs instead. Wally's chasing back. And there was a call from, I think Adam Bettridge must be sitting behind us because he just said, sit, 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 and it did, and so did Wally. He got sat in the grandstand, in the in-goal. And Central are going to have to boot this out from under their own posts.
It'd be a fair tackle to send him to the grandstand.
Indeed, especially over there. But it was a very nice kick there from Briggs and then a big effort, and that's what they've been doing today, Macquarie. 2 and 3 into the tackle, sending them into the in-goal. Sumner with a lovely trap. And here's Hay. Now here's Briggs. Hide away. Briggs again. This is Scott out there to Simon. Simon feeds Cantor. Cantor with the leg drive. Tackling him's only part of the story. He's been making ground after contact every time. Here's Scott Briggs. Now Allen. Right in the shadow of the posts. Central back on the try line. Hyde. Briggs. Sumner. Short to another Briggs. This one's Randall. And Macquarie are 30 clear.
This could end up being absolutely anything at this point. I mean, Central's defences seem to have absolutely no response to what Macquarie are throwing at them.
You're absolutely right. And what they're throwing at them at the moment is quite a lot of people named Briggs. And that was Sumner who fed that pass beautifully. And Randall Briggs, easily distinguishable by the hairstyle, made his way over the line. And I'd say there might be a few heads dropping in the blue and white. They've got a really big contingent of supporters too, down in front of the grandstand on the right-hand side, or on my right-hand side as you look out onto the field. There's a real lot of Central fans down there. Unfortunately, they've had to be fairly subdued so far. There they all are. You can see them there in the picture. At this rate, it's going to be a fairly quiet drive home. So Briggs.
Relax. Right.
It's there. So 7 tries for Macquarie this afternoon. 6 tries for Macquarie this afternoon. And they're 5 tries clear. 32-0 with 32 minutes to go here. Central running exactly a point a minute. And I'd say hopes are fading. Of course, next week the grand final is on a Saturday, not a Sunday. So it's Saturday the 23rd of September. So 6 days from now. And on they come. And a penalty in the ruck. So Macquarie getting marched up the field with regularity at the moment.
And they don't really need any assistance at this point.
No, not really. Grand final day next week, of course. We've got South up against Central in Ladies League tag. That'll be at 10:30. Then at 11:45, it'll be Lakes up against Cessnock in the under-19s. And then at 1:10, reserve grade South up against Wests. First grade, 3 o'clock, Wests up against the winner of this. At the moment, Macquarie look fairly strong favourites. Here's Allen into Central territory again. He's dumped on his back. Referee with a decision to make there. Briggs away. They're setting it up again. All but 2 of them to the left of the ruck. Here's Abraham and Sumner. Sumner short. He went out the back to Simon. Here's Manson. They've got numbers. They won't need them because Manson's over. They only needed the number 1. It's 36-0, and they've scored 3 times in 10 minutes since half-time.
Yeah, well, when you see that play unfold, you can see that the Central's defence is quite compressed, and the Macquarie's left edge were actually quite wide. Like Matt Hay was hugging the sideline.
You're absolutely right. You look at how far they had to come across there to try and make that tackle. The Central players were running towards the touchline and still didn't get him, and he scored 4 or 5 metres in from touch. So they really were compressed in tight. And Macquarie, not for the first time today, have made great use of it. I had a look over the other games played between these sides through the week, and this was a recurring theme. Out the back to Manson, out the back to Simon, whoever it might be, and tries out wide. They've done it a lot for them this year, and this being the 5th game, it's happening again. Now Briggs from just inside the touchline. He's got plenty of shooting practice here this afternoon. There's an expectant hum around the grandstand as Briggs comes in and starts to bend this one around and doesn't quite. Wasn't too far away, but it remains 36-0. 29 minutes left on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell and Nick Hornby-Howell here with you for the preliminary final. And of course we'll have every game next week on Grand Final Day. We'll be showing a lot of them, starting at 10:30 in the morning. Isn't it a nice day to be hang gliding up there? Look at that. It was lovely.
Oh, they've been filling the sky all afternoon. It's
our cameraman doing beautiful work this afternoon. And that's beautiful work there by Manson, fresh off a try. He gets absolutely buried under Townsend Oval after he did so, but that was a sharp catch down low. Here's Hay. Cruelly robbed of a hat-trick there by Manson going at himself a few moments ago. But he might get another opportunity, but he won't just yet, because that's a forward pass out of dummy half. And Central, for the first time pretty much in the half, we'll get a look at this end of the ground.
Central haven't really had much of the football at all in any part of the field in this half.
No, pretty much. 3 tries in 10 minutes. Someone with a very strong opinion up here in the grandstand. We're very well placed up here. We're right in amongst it. I hope the noise is coming through for the viewers at home. I feel like you're sitting here next to us. Here's Murray. And Worley. Changing the angle. Coming back inside is Worley. Still going. Central, of course, having to make do this afternoon without Ethan Cook and without Steve Gordon, 2 of their best this season. That's made life very difficult for them. They have a chance here to get on the board. Here's Cordner. Murray. Dark. And this is not. He's dragged down. A couple of plays left here. Here's Dark again. And that's Sean Metcalf. He looked to pass that, but they were all over the ball. Kennedy over there to Dark, sticks it on the toe. This one's trickling down the water spout. Back to the 20 we go.
Yeah, Central's attack was quite punched then. Looked like they're slowly running out of ideas.
Well, they're going to be a very different team next year. They've got some players coming in. They've got Jermaine Ailes signed up for next year. They've also got Terrence Eucu coming over from Curry. Jermaine Ailes, of course, didn't play this year because of work, but previously a premiership winner a few times over with West. So they've got more experience and more quality coming through. So there's plenty of things to look forward to, but not quite at the moment, because here's Scott Briggs down the right. He's got numbers either way. He'll look for Cantor, I'd reckon. And Nathan Cantor, well, he doesn't make it easier for the kicker, but he doesn't make it easier for the Scorps, because it's 40-0 with a kick to come. And that was a little bit too easy down the short side.
Yeah, you don't like seeing some of this soft defence from Central at the moment. They're just dropping off tackles, and Macquarie just taking full advantage.
Briggs out a dummy half there, and he went straight past Brad Murray. He had them queuing up either side of him. And he drew the fullback perfectly to find Cantor, who didn't fancy running it around, and dived over to make it 40-0. I've just had a sneaky turn around, have a look at Coach Petrich. He's sitting over my left shoulder. 40-0 in the prelim, but he still hasn't cracked a smile just yet. Serious business. With Briggs on the tee again to push for 42.
On the bogey side as well.
Indeed. I think all of his misses have been from this side. You're quite right. That was their 8th try. And that's their 5th goal. So 42-0 with 25 left here. Macquarie, I'm afraid to say for you Central fans, putting them to the sword. And not looking like they want to stop just yet. And poor old Brad Murray. What's this, the 9th time today? He's had to kick off.
You'd have to assume he'd be pretty sick of it.
I would reckon, yeah. On they come with Jeffrey. They were up high on him there. And we could see some entertainment here if Macquarie keep fizzing this ball around, but in this instance it's been knocked down. I think they'll get this back. God, that's happened a lot today. Macquarie taking it to the line, throwing the pass, and having it knocked down, getting it back. Murray's having a word again. That's really been the story of poor old Brad Murray's day. Kicking off and arguing with the referee. It's not much of a day out, is it?
No.
There's much better ways to spend your Sunday.
Let's keep heads down, boys. Heads down, switch on.
This is the scrum coaching happening behind us. And away we go. Macquarie with the ball again. So Hyde's at dummy half. Macquarie with 8 tries to their name so far in this game, and they'll have a chance for another. That's a penalty. And guess who it was? Brad Murray.
Obviously wasn't listening to referee Tom Aylett calling him out there.
Either that or he just wanted another chat, one way or the other. They've exchanged quite a few words. Away we go again. So here's Abraham, and it might be more ways than one. Here's Jeffrey. Away we go again. On this left-hand side, Hyde's got plenty over this way. He turns it inside to Sumner to Simon. And they're set up again. Hyde down the short. Sumner fizzes it into touch. And that would have been a good pass for somebody standing under the light tower. Well, not his best work, I think you'd have to say. They've had a very good day. That was one of the low points. Here it is on the replay. Hey.
I think Tom Brady would have been happy with that pass.
I reckon. Yeah, he needed a running back steaming onto it. Well, at least, you know, that might have been an ordinary pass, but at least it gave us the spectacle of another beautiful rugby league scrum. So, you know, that's something.
Yeah, we haven't had many of those today.
Some big puffs of dust coming up as well. You can see it's very dry out there. We haven't had much rain. Now they come forward. That's the 15. Harrigan onto the field. Thrashing about. Now Baker. The starting prop back onto the field. And they're up to halfway. Here's Dark going for a run. Looking for the pass, finding it. It's a good one. And they're making decent ground here, Central. And we'll go out to Murray again, who puts it to the sky. It's a tester for Simon, who takes it very well. He wasn't under too much pressure, but it was an awkward-looking kick. And he tried to make a bit of a dint on the run back. Noble deputising. Finds Hay. Simon in a dummy half now. He'll run at a few who might be offside. He'll flick it away. Now Briggs looking for them back on the inside, finds Cantor. Cantor roaming free. He's had a very good afternoon. He'll be on the tip sheet for West next week. Here's Briggs. There might be Alchin out there in 15. Noble looks to be playing hooker now completely because Chris Hyde's come from the field. And it's Noble now, away to Sumner. Sumner will dink this in behind. There's a chase here. Hayes roaring down the wing. He nearly got there too, I can tell you. But it was watched into touch there by Cameron Anderson. They're very pleased with themselves here, Macquarie. There's a lot of high-fiving and pats on the back of the head.
Yeah, you'd have to be assuming that Coach Bettridge is he's wrapping Chris Hyde in cotton wool in anticipation of next week. Yep,
seems like the sensible thing to do. 42 blot. Take a few of your guns off. Give him a bit of a rest, although he hasn't actually given him a rest altogether. Nicholas, if you just have a look down there, Chris Hyde, he's played 60 minutes in the middle of the park at hooker, and now he's riding an exercise bike.
Just the slow cool down.
I see. Down. There you go.
Crucial.
Sure. So here's Anderson, who showed some promise for Central. It was one of their best moments of the game. That breakdown field early in the first half. Hasn't got much better since then. Here's Cordner. It was a very slow play the ball. Williams. Here's Kennedy working the short side. Dumped out the back. It's still there. This is Worley. Here's Murray, and he's going to send it to the sky again. And that's gone about a net gain of about 3 metres. It's nearly taken over there, and now it is taken by Macquarie. And they're off again here. It's Andrew Sumner, and he's stolen the lollies. And he's away and gone behind the posts. It's going to be 48 here in a minute. They've scored 9 times, Macquarie. And it's 46-0 with a kick to come. Andrew Sumner gets a try.
That kind of sums up the day there, doesn't it? I mean,
pretty much.
Brad Murray's put up the kick. Lucky bounce, or the luck goes in the way of the Scorpions, and they take off and score another try.
I'm not quite sure how it happened because the ball. I mean, it was a fairly average kick. Everybody went up and ended up going, and it looked like it was taken there by Knott, but it's just fallen right in the belly of Sumner. All he had to do was take off upfield.
The one bloke that did not leave the ground.
Yep.
And it's
ended up with the ball.
It's just gifted it.
Pretty much. So, 46-0. I'll tell you what, there's plenty of time here. There's 17 minutes left. And it's already about to be 48.
Are you backing them to crack the half century?
Well, I wonder if they're going to stop there.
Yeah, it looks like it's gone through the arms of Knott, and Sumner's just taken off.
They just clean missed it. Yeah. Well,
he showed a bit of toe, the halfback.
He did indeed. Briggs has got another goal, so that's his 6th kick from 9 attempts this afternoon, and that explains why the score is 48-0. Macquarie lead Central with 16 minutes now left on the clock. And I think now, I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want Macquarie fans coming after me saying I've put the mock on them. But I think now you can say fairly confidently that they're probably going to be in the grand final.
Look, I think you're pretty.
That's not too far.
No, yep. I think you'd be pretty concerned if you're up 48-0 with 16 minutes to go and you lose.
I think that's fair. So, if that's the case, grand final lineup is just about confirmed. South's up against Central in Ladies League Tag, 10:30. Then 11:45, Lakes up against Cessnock. That'll be a cracker. That'll be a really good game. Then 1:10, Reserves South up against West, and then at 3 o'clock, West's up against Macquarie. And we've got a penalty to Macquarie here. I'd love to see some possession stats on this second half, because Central couldn't have had 30% of the ball.
Oh, I was just thinking, you'd have to assume that Macquarie's had about 75% of the ball.
Yep. I reckon that's fair. That was a pretty clean strip, I think. Won't be too much arguing there.
It was our man.
It was Murray, hand all over the ball. And it gives Macquarie an opportunity to march upfield again. It's a pretty strong achievement for the club. 3 grand finals in a row. Having not made one since the early 90s, I think. To go to 3 on the trot is a big achievement, but to win one would be
even better.
Arguably a little bit better. Now they've lost this here. It's one of the few mistakes they've made. And so Central will have a feed. What after today, have you seen anything that might to make you think that Macquarie can get it done next week against West? Do you think they've got a shout? I mean, West obviously only lost twice this year. One of their wins was against Macquarie. But what have you seen today that you think might trouble the West side?
Well, I think, if you're going to get into an arm wrestle with West, I don't think that's the way to go about it. I think, they've shown a bit of willingness to chance their arm today, and I think that's key to knocking over West. You can't just run through your set plays and expect to beat them. I think a few offloads and that sort of thing could go a long way to troubling what have. You have to be honest, West have been the best side this season.
Yep, I think that's fair. Now, what do we got here? Scott Briggs down. That'll cause heart palpitations, and for the gents behind me. He's still not to his feet and looks a little bit sore. Now this would be fairly dramatic if he was not able to take his place next week. He's making his way off the field fairly slowly. Dan Abraham's going to come on. Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, I think you've just got to bring him off, don't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't be risking him for another 13, 14 minutes at 48 watt.
I wonder if we'll see Daniel Abraham return to the halves.
Well, quite possibly. I mean, I would have thought that's probably the most likely. He's taking his time coming off here, Scott Briggs, as you'd expect, but not moving very freely at all. Abraham couldn't wait any longer, and he's run out and met him halfway. So he's obviously keen. That's what you want from your replacement players late in the game. Briggs gets a bit of an ovation, as he deserves. Had a very good game. And it's Central who carry on up the middle. Central, as I said, they'll be a different side next year. They've got players coming in. Jermaine Ailes signed. Terence Ciuciu. They've got a few others coming in as well. They've got a lot to be proud of, finishing 3rd this year. The club hasn't been in that sort of territory for a fair while, but they just haven't had enough today. Here's Dark. This is Cordner. Cordner still wiggling his way towards the line. They're set out deep to the left. A try here would be something for the punters down there in front of the grandstand. Here's Murray on the toe. It's trickling towards the dead ball line, and it's going to win the race. So we'll go back to the 20. We've seen a little bit too much of that today. I wonder if the Central halves just haven't quite adjusted to the narrow in goals here, because we've seen at least 3 or 4 of those that have gone dead. On they come again. Here's Adam Grew. Still fighting. He's played big minutes here this afternoon. Still 12 to go. I wonder if he'll be on till stumps. Here's Alchin. I reckon the half century. I reckon they'd like that.
Oh, you probably can't say it's undeserved either.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. It's Jeffrey. In the 10. Sumner still Sumner. It came around the back. They might not let that one go on. Tom Aylett says, no thanks, not that for me. I thought it was a bit of hello chicks there, action there for a minute from Sumner with the ball around the back, but I think he just dropped it. So we'll have to come back and have another of those beautiful scrums.
Oh, the forward packs would be quite well acquainted by now.
Yeah, I'd reckon, especially in their 5th game of the season against the same opposition. We're sick of the sight of each other.
Getting all nice and close and personal.
Well, too personal. You again, box head. There'd be a bit of that going on, I'd reckon. He's just sick of their faces. Now that's the 16. That's Lachlan Bent out there. Someone gets a bit exuberant on a motorbike off in the distance. Harrigan with the ball. On they come with Cordner. Up the halfway. Central, to their credit, still pushing here. There's been no drop in effort. And oh dear, Walsley. Well, he must have felt that those kids over there, with their parents having a picnic, needed something to...
Yeah, thinking they might be feeling a bit left out.
Yeah, exactly. But get a bit closer to the action as he's fired that one out onto the bike track.
Or maybe he just saw a chance for them out wide.
What, for the kids? What, for the picnickers?
Yeah.
Down the touchline. Jeez.
Wouldn't that be something? I mean,
it'd be like unusual tactics, I think.
Well, former Knights winger Brian Carney used to be a big fan of catching the ball over the sidelines.
That's very true. So we're going to scrum right on halfway here, and the beautiful side of Daniel Abraham feeding it. Out the back, here's Sumner and Simon. Plenty of territory to run into here. He might fancy this one-on-one, but they've got him by the collar, and then he gets one over the top from Anderson. And it's Hay and Sumner and Grew bashing and barging, looking for the offload. I reckon the offloads will be a big thing next week against West. Now Elchin. Speared into the deck. On the edge of the cut strip down there. Noble at dummy half. Grew. Abraham. Abraham through a gap. Hasn't been a while since we've said that, but he's going to score, Daniel Abraham. Out onto the right-hand side of the field. And he just sliced through, and Macquarie can raise the bat. They've gone to 50. It's 52-0 with a kick to come, and still 10 minutes left.
Wasn't that a throwback to a decade ago when he was running around on the edge for the Newcastle Knights?
Indeed. Sliced straight through there. We'll have a look on the replay. There wasn't too much art about this. I love seeing front rowers pass the ball, and then Abraham with just a little bit of a step and a change of pace, and away he went. And I think he thought, you know what? I could pass this, but I'm not gonna. I'll have this one for myself. A preliminary final try.
That's the kind of leadership you want to see from your veteran players.
Now, you can see on the screen, Adam Bettridge is... I was about to say I haven't heard much from behind me for a few minutes. He's cleared. The whole coaching staff have cleared and gone down to the touchline. And Bettridge is down there congratulating his reserves and checking on the condition of a few of the players. I think that's Ryan Pywell is down there with ice on his leg, having a chat to him. You're going to be right for next week, etc., etc. And he's done a good job, Bettridge. 2 years as coach of Macquarie, 2 grand finals. Now we've got to change a goal kicker, of course, because Briggs is off the field. Here's Sumner. And the way he's kicked that, I think you'd have a fair question why he hasn't been kicking all day. That looked easy as you like.
An early audition. Or a late audition, even.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But 54-0. Briggs 6 from 9. Sumner 1 from 1. Thanks very much. And still 8 minutes left here at Townsend Oval. This is a lovely place to come on a spring afternoon. Just getting a bit chilly. I see how our cameramen are getting a bit chilly. They're starting to wobble about. If you see if the picture starts to go a bit wobbly, you'll know they're trying to get warm. That explains that. As the kick goes downfield, and Macquarie receiving their 11th kickoff of the afternoon. They've scored 10 tries. I would tally them up for you, but we haven't got that much time. They're going to chance again. Here's Grew. How many hit-ups for him today? Have to be 20, I reckon.
A lot.
Yep.
Speaking of super coach points.
Exactly. Well, that's right. Base stat beast. That's it. And here's Jeffrey, the two props. I mentioned Ethan Cook and Steve Gordon before, but of course Macquarie got a few out as well. I saw Blake Gatlin walking around before the game. their regular lock forward. They've got no Blake Gall, they've got no Adam Swadling. So they've had their troubles, but they're still here. Going to grand final number 3 in 3 years. Different opponents each time. Here's Sumner onto the boot. And towards the in goal. It's a thankless chase there for Worsley because he knows he's going to get belted. But he manages to stay in the field of play. Now Anderson. Tackle 2, 1 metre out from their own line. It's been that sort of day. And that was dark. And they'll finally get out of their 10 with Cordner. Contrasting fortunes for the Cordners this weekend. Danes had to come out here in the 54-0 shellacking, as there's a high ball out there to the wing. And there's a chance out here for Mason up to the 40. And while Dane's been here busting a gut at 54 blot, Boyd's had the weekend off. And they've, of course, got a game against the Cowboys next Saturday night. Now, Matt Hay's got to chase this back. He hasn't been able to complete his hat-trick yet, Matt Hay, so he might be keen on this. But he's chopped down over there in a nice tackle around the legs from Jared Knott. Now Simon. Still Simon. And Macquarie might just have one more up the sleeve. Abraham. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little trick play here. Noble at dummy half. He's filled in well since Hyde went off. This is Tracy, who, as you said earlier, has looked really strong since coming into the side.
Yeah, he's provided the kind of punch that you like to see from your interchange players.
Quite right. Here's Worsley. And that's the 30 on your screen now, and he'll be up to the 40 by the time they get him. 5 minutes left here, 54 blot, Macquarie over Central. They're heading to grand final day next week. Now tell me, what do you think this final system, the way that it's set up? West's having finished first. They got a week off week 1 of the finals. Then they had to play against Macquarie last week and beat them. Because they won that game, they've got another week off here. They've only played 1 game in 3 weeks leading into the grand final. Do you think that could end up being a negative for them, that they haven't had much football? Or do you think just very well rested?
No, I just think that they'll be very, very well rested. I mean, you know, as the minor premiers, they're entitled to some form of advantage, and you know, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for them. I mean, you know, they might have a couple of blokes.
Here's a chance, not for long. It's taken there by Sumner. He was thinking about another one, but he'll have to come back. Sorry, you were saying.
But yeah, they may have had a couple of blokes that may have had a few niggles and that sort of thing. It gives them the perfect opportunity to rest. You know, try to run it out with a bit of training and be fit and firing for the decider.
It'll be really interesting to know how you prepare when you know when you have 2 weeks off out of 3 or out of 4. How to get ready. Now that wasn't that was a bit snippy from referee Aylett. He wasn't happy with Andrew Sumner. You hear that? He said, "Not in the spirit of the game. I'm not going to wear it." I think the fake play the ball might have got up his goat there. And we've got a penalty against the ball. No. Well, there you go.
You don't see many of those.
You don't at all. There's a bit of colour and movement for the supporters. Here's Cordner, who's been very willing all day, it must be said.
Yeah, he's got a good motor on him.
Doesn't he? Up the middle. In a fairly dire cause for most of the afternoon. That's a good wrestling run out there. And he's wrenched over. That'll be another penalty. 3 minutes left here. Central looking for something late to give their, fairly rapidly declining support down there in front of the grandstand something to yell at. On they come again. That's a really strong carry from Matt Baker. Late in the game, a long way behind. Now Harrigan. Right near the posts. Kennedy's at dummy half. Fired over the top by Murray. They might score in the corner, they will. It's the rookie of the year, Jack Mason. Oh, they won't score in the corner. The flag's up. Touch Judge Ryan was having none of it. And it'll be a scrum. So there was hope, and it was snuffed out. Touch Judge Ryan saying, was see on the replay here, that he had a foot in touch.
The left foot.
Yep. Well, you've got to back the bloke that's standing right in front of it.
Well, I mean, you'd like to think he saw it.
If he hadn't, I'd say there'd be an inquiry. Yeah, I think that's right.
Isn't it great to see officials make a decision straight away?
This is a wonderful competition. No video referee. You just get on with it. It's fantastic. Oh, no bunker, no.
Don't the supporters love it?
They do. They don't love it too much. They're making their way out of the ground at the moment, trying to beat the traffic.
Oh, and the boot's gone.
Now here's Noble finding Grew. There are about 105 seconds left here in the second last game of the real NRL season for 2017 as Alchin comes forward. Big grand finals next week. Here's Noble. Still going Noble. Now keep in mind, people, there's no National Rugby League on next Saturday. There's no excuse not to be watching this in one way or another. As here's Manson, that might have been forward to Hay. Hay's looking for the hat-trick. He's got a few to get past. He goes himself. Hay then finds Sumner. They are going to get 60. They're going to get their 11th try. And that one, I've got to tell you, was an absolute perler because Matt Hay had a lot of work to do there before setting up Andy Sumner. Sumner's got 2. Macquarie have got 11. They've got 58 points. They're going to get another 2. It's about to be 60-0.
Yeah, I'd argue that that's the best of the afternoon.
Good shout.
Matt Hay shrugged off a couple of the defenders out wide and very unselfishly given away his hat-trick to Andrew Sumner.
Geez, there must have been a temptation to throw the dummy. As he went past, he had a few here. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, all tried it on. And he comes to the fullback. And you're right, unselfishly found Sumner on the inside, who's doing what a halfback's supposed to do, backing up, making himself available. I see Adam Bettridge is going down to shake hands with the opposing players and coaches.
And we've got our third goal kicker of the afternoon.
Oh, and I see Jake Finn's down there on the central bench. So that's good to see. As the kick goes over, there are 15 seconds left. I don't think Tom Aylett's going to try and keep them on this time. It's all over Red Rover here at Townsend Oval. Macquarie have been far too good on the day, and they fully deserve their 60-0 win. They've scored 11 tries this afternoon. They've played each other 5 times this year, these two sides. Never has the result been this conclusive, but this is the one that matters. It's Macquarie 60, Central 0. They're into the grand final against West next week. Nick Hornby-Hale, a few thoughts?
Well, you don't quite expect to see the preliminary final end up as 60-0, but Macquarie have been very clinical today. I mean, everything they've tried seems to have worked. The bounce of the ball just went their way with a few kicks and such. I mean, it was just a Scorpions' day, I think.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Early on in the game, the tone was set. They took their chances when they came. Central had a few early and didn't take them, and they scored at the right times. And then in the second half, pretty much scored all the time. They put 40 points on them in that second half. That's, 7 tries. That's a real barnstorming second half effort and sets them up beautifully for next week. A few nervous waits on injuries. They'll be interested to see what's up with Ryan Pywell and with Scott Briggs. But overall, I reckon they'd have taken this at the start of the day. Macquarie 60, Central 0. As we sign off here from the Real NRL, from the preliminary final. Nick Hornby-Hale, thank you very much for your efforts this afternoon. We've got 4 grand finals to cover next week, and we're very much looking forward to it next Saturday over at Hunter Stadium. If you can't get to the game, get it on Bar TV. Morgan Campbell signing off from Townsend Oval. It's the Scorps into their 3rd in a row.